Hi everyone. So, as you know, I've been playing a lot with Vellum the past weeks, and I've been having a lot of fun. And now I've been exploring grains. I love particles, and I want to have fun with grains. I was exploring really complex stuff with breaking jellies and exploding liquids, all with Vellum. But instead of starting already with a complex one, as I mentioned on Patreon, I want to start dividing tutorials into small tutorials, and we are starting the Vellum Grains with a really simple one, and you will see how to create a jelly animation with just one parameter, just playing with one parameter on Vellum, and you will create a cool jelly animation like this one. That it's so fast, it's not a fluid simulation, it's not a soft body, it's just a Vellum grains, and it's so simple. It just, you will finish the tutorial like that's all. But it is, Houdini is not that complex, just have fun. So let's jump into the tutorial, and I hope you enjoy this one. Okay, so let's place a sphere. And let's dive in, let's change this polygon. Move it up, out, move up a little bit above the floor. And let's use grains. You'll see that this is pretty simple. And let's turn this on and create points from volume. You can see it creates a lot of grains. This is normal, right? Everyone have tried this one. Let's place a solver, Vellum solver, and agree to work as a floor. To the third input, and you will see that our grains will fall down as sand. Okay, pretty simple so far, right? So this is the basic stuff of Vellum Grains. Let me change the frame range, 90. So here on Vellum constraint grain, okay, we have the grain size. Let me zoom in. So this is something similar to how it called point from volume. I don't really use this much. Points from volume. Okay, it is the same. You have the point separation. It is the same that you are doing here. If you come here and uncheck add sprite material, you can see that we are creating the points. As you can see, it is similar. Okay, ignore those blue lines. Okay. So what it does, it is creating points inside the volume of our spheres. Of course, if you don't want that, you can always scatter. For example, you can put a scatter. Now we are just scattering points on the surface, right? And then link those points to the Vellum grains and check that. Now those points will be our grains. Okay, but here we have a problem, because when you use this, okay, when you use create points from volume, it is creating a p-scale. Let me check. It is creating automatically for us a p-scale value. Okay, because we are saying that our grains, turn on this right, our grains have this p-scale. When you link to scatter, oh, it is, wow, I didn't know that. So even when you do a scatter, it is automatically processing the p-scale for us. That is cool. I didn't know that. That is cool. So now that we don't have points inside the volume, we are scattering points on the surface. And now press play, and as you can see, our points behave like sand. I just want to show you that you don't always need to use the points, create points from volume. Okay, you can have a model that you want and just scatter points whatever you want, and then use those points as scatters, as grains. Okay, But for now, let's go and create this one. Use just this. Let me delete this to keep everything cleaned. Okay, and let's play a little bit with vellums. I'm going to make this first part really simple. And we are going to make these like behave like jelly. Right now, they are like scattering a lot. Let's increase the resolution by decreasing the grain size. Okay. So if you decrease the grain size, you will see that the points will get smaller, right? Because we are saying the grain size is smaller, so we will have more points. Okay, so now we have almost 40,000 points. I even lower this down. It processes, as you can see, it takes a little bit more time. Now we have 180,000 points. You can see it is a little bit tricky, and don't go crazy and like it was 1, don't go to 0.01 just in one go, because it can take a lot and a lot of process power. And now we have 5 million points. Just by decreasing a little bit, it increased a lot the point number. So be careful, start with a normal grain size, and if you need at the end, start lowering, going up on the resolution, lowering the grain size, okay? Only at the end. So right now, let's go with this grain size. Let's see if everything works. And we have a bunch of sand. Okay, so now let's stick them. So let's put a constraint. Okay, let's link this here with 3 inputs. And let's change this to a glue. So now we are going to glue every single point. And let me convert this to a null, wire this to a null with constraints. Did I write it right? Okay. So let me see if we can anything. And here, let's change to points, because we are working with points. We are working with grains. As you can see, we don't have any primitive. We are working with points. Okay, it's really important to change this geometry to points, because we are working with points. And suddenly we see those constraints, those white lines. So these white lines are saying that each point is glued to another point. And we are controlling that with the glue search, okay? And right now, the glue is really weak, because each grain is only glued to another grain, okay? So you don't have enough glue to keep them together. So if I press play, I think it will behave like previously. Okay, maybe less chaotic, but we can't really see, because the glue is really weak. We don't have enough constraints. So if let me zoom in, I hope you can see this on the tutorial. So now we need to play with this. We can increase this a little bit, but we don't. This is the search radius. So imagine this point here. Let me try and increase the point size so you can see. Okay. So this point is looking for a radius of 0.5, like this big radius. And it is looking for another point. And if there is a point inside that is not already glued, it will stick to that, okay, and create a constraint. But the problem here is this main one, okay? The problem here is this one, because we are telling that we are only gluing one particle to another particle. We just have one constraint per particle. So if I increase this to 2, you will see a bunch of particles will increase. Okay, we have many more constraints. Or even increase this to like 6. You can see now we have a bunch of constraints. You can see, because now we are telling each grain has now 6 other points that are glued. Okay, so if I now press play here, we will see this differently if the constraints are strong enough. See? Now, of course, some of them are losing the glue, or are not glued with enough strength. But even after the break, let me put on real, they see even some of them are still glued after they break from the main one. And we are starting to making something really fast without a fluid simulation. Just grains, just playing with grains and glue constraints. So you can increase to search points, but for now we are just looking for 6 points, and we have a radius really big, so this one doesn't matter. This one matters if this one is bigger than this. So if you go here to 12, maybe this one should be bigger, should be like 15 or more. Okay, and even if I come here, you can see that we have even more constraints. See how it behaves now? Now they are sticking way more than before, right? Cool. Then you have stiffness. We are going to explore this on the next part because we are going to learn to give different stiffness and breaking the sand and or breaking the jelly and everything else. Okay, so let's try another thing. The cool thing about Houdini is that this is procedural. So now if I put a box here, okay, let's go to the box. Let's put the box always on the floor. So let's copy this. Copy relative. So this will be, let's divide by 2. Okay. So this will always be on the floor, as you can see. So, and now let's make something like 4 by 2. And here maybe 0.5. Maybe something like that. Let's wire this here. And now we have our cool jelly bar. Let's call it like that. Go to 0.04. And let's see how many points. 80,000 points. Close to that. That is pretty cool. I hope my computer can handle this while recording. But Vellum is really lighter than fluid simulation. So, and let's decrease this again to 10. So one other thing that if you think it's important to keep this number lower possible, the lowest number possible, because it is checking more points than it needs. Okay, go to 8. Sorry, maybe 8. Okay, we have a lot of constraints. So now we have we knew that before we didn't have primitives. So now we have primitives. We know that those primitives are the constraints. So we have a bunch of them. That is cool. And we are not going to work with the stretch and the stiffness for now, nor the breaking, because I just want you to explore this one. Let's go step by step, and you can see just by playing with simple parameters, you can create something cool. So let's see if my jelly can stay together. Cool. Can we lower these even down? Let's go to 5. Maybe these will behave like sand. Okay, starts to break on the edges. Okay, I don't want really that. With 7. Okay, just by playing with this constraint per point. As I mentioned, remember, we are saying each point is connected to another 7 because we have the search radius really big. So we are just playing with this one. Just one parameter, as you can see. Let's see the behavior. It starts to break, but goes back. Okay, cool. That is cool. And now we can play and add collisions. For example, let's put a tube. Oops, let's put a tube. I think it's called a tube here. Okay, go here. Merge. Oops, I can't write merge. Merge. Let's go to, so we can see. Let's go 0.25. And let's put a transform. Let's end caps. Change this to polygon. Let's just check how it looks. Add a little bit of rows. We Let's go with 4, 6, 6 rows and 24. Okay, cool. And let's just move this transform like 2.5, something like that. Alt click, and then on 90, let's go to minus 2.5. And alt click. So now we are animating that collider. Okay, something simple as that. And because it is linked to a merge with our grid and linked to the third input, now it will behave as a collider for our simulation. So, okay, it is. I was worrying why it's not blue. Let me just come here. Let me increase the memory. Be careful increasing this memory. I'm increasing because I have enough memory to increase. So it depends on your computer. Don't increase like crazy. So let's now see how it looks. Now this is colliding with our here. Because we have the glue so strong, it looks like a jelly. Pretty cool, right? So let's go now and let's put a transform. So what I want is, for example, here, I want the tube to go. Let me increase. This is going fast while simulating. So let me delete this keyframe. Control click. So here I want to go to 1, like that. Alt click, and then on frame 120, let's go back to the original state. So the animation is like this, okay? But here I want to stay back on 1. It's like this. Okay? So now here what I want, like this, and here, I just want to rotate this 180. Now we have 2. So what we have is this. Very cool. So now on the solver, okay, let's see how it behaves. And this is not with the fluid simulation, it just grains. And then, whoop. It looks like a soft body, but it's grains, so it kind of lose track of the shape because it's made by grains. Okay, it's so cool. You can do so many things with this. And I'm using really low resolution, so I'm using 0.04 is really big. So, and even so, it's cool. So, and other thing is that, as you can see, you have a lot of jiggling here. You can see, looks like noises. Okay, looks like not really that good. And if you want to render as particles, you can fix that by increasing the substeps. If you go like even 2 or 4, it will really improve the noisy those noise calculations, because it is giving you a noise pattern because it doesn't have enough substeps to process the collisions and everything. So just increase the substeps. I'm leaving at 1 because it's not the goal here to make the real animation. I just want to show you the process. So one other thing is that if you don't want to render these as particles, if you want to render these as a jelly like I did, what I did was link to a point, how it calls, always forgot that one, surface, particle surface, particle fluid surface. Normally you see this node on the fluid simulation, but as you can guess, fluid simulations are particles, and vellum grains are particles. Okay, you are just seeing with a sprite. So you can link here, and now you have a mesh. Of course, this is an ugly mesh because now we are using a 0.04 grain size. So particle separation, we know it's 0.04, and we are starting to get a really nice shape. We can turn this off because we don't have these parameters you don't really need, and then just play with these. I like to lower these like to 0.4. Go step by step, don't go crazy, and now you have a cool jelly. And then if you hover, you have a really nice description of the parameters. I like to lower these to 1.5 or 1. But if you lower to 1, you need to lower down the droplet, and the process time will take you even more time to process that. But it's really nice to see that you can create a jelly animation that it would be tricky to do with a particle fluid, right, simulation, because you need a lot of viscosity. You go with soft bodies, it would be tricky, but because you wouldn't have these animation because you wouldn't deform that much. And you can do that with Vellum Grains. Just create grains, create a glue constraints, play with just one parameter. We are not touching anything. We increase the search radius just to get really big one, and just playing with the constraints per point, and you have a jelly. So now let me see how I did that intro animation, and you will see it's pretty easy and clean. Let me show you. Okay, so here is the project. Not too fancy, as you can see. It's just the jelly, and then the floor is just a grid, and the tubes is the object merge that I'm going to show you. Okay, so the jelly is the same principle. Okay, we have the box. Let me go to frame 1 so I can show you. We have the box. Simple. I have a box 6 by 0.5 and 4, and at the floor, always. I have a vellum constraint grains, like I explained, with a 0.02. That is what I wanted. And then a glue constraint. And as you can see, I didn't touch anything. It's just increase the search radius to the maximum, 1. It was cool. And constraint per point, I had 10. Okay, simple as that. Then the Vellum solver, I increased substeps to 2. Then I didn't change anything, just increased the substeps to 2 to avoid a little bit of those noise processing calculations. Okay, I cached everything. Okay, and then converted to particle fluid surface as I showed you. Use the same value as you use here, 0.02. Same on particle separation. Reduce voxel scale, influence scale to 2, and droplet didn't change. Okay, and then I got this cool jelly animation. How I did those tubes? Pretty simple. So we have here the floor for the floor for the Vellum solver. So for the animation, I have this tube. Let me go. Sorry, let me change and turn off. Let me turn off these two so you can see. Oops. Turn off. Okay. Now you can see a little bit better what I got. So I have a tube with the scales. I'm decreasing the scale overall because they are getting together. But I have the tube. What I did was I move it on the X. Let's go to viewport on the right position. I moved the X 4 points. So it is animating like this. But sorry, let me go. I moved 4 points, then I copied 2 points. Okay, and I copied 12 times, and I rotated 360 divided by that number. Okay, So I'm rotating each copy 30 degrees. I'm getting a full circle. Okay, so this is the initial state. Then I animated the transform. So what I'm animating is just playing with the x-axis. So what I'm doing is this. Okay, sorry. What I'm doing is just this. So it is getting close to the center, and then after a while go back really fast. And because we copied 12 times and rotated 30 degrees, it is doing that. And you can see when they get close to the center, why I'm decreasing the radius scale here, because they were getting way too much close and the radius scale was bigger. And I want some jelly to get between those pillars. That's why I was decreasing. Simple as that. So I merged that with the floor. We got something like this. And then with our jelly. So we will have something. Okay, we don't see. We are not seeing the. Maybe I should go up. Then we have here this. We have our jelly converted to a surface. Boom. Pretty cool with a simple system. And as you saw, we are just playing with a simple and a single parameter on the glue constraint. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this one. And for the new joiners, if you don't know me, I'm doing tutorials. We are getting close to the 5th tutorial. A really good achievement for me. So join my Patreon. I'm releasing tutorials and content every week. Now I'm going full-time dedicated to these tutorials. So we are playing with Vellum now. Next one, I will be keep exploring Vellum Grains. We are going to break our jelly in specific part of the jelly, exploding and everything else. If you don't really enjoy looking for your tutorials here on Patreon, you can go to my website. All the links are on the description, and you can see all my tutorials here. Okay, you just need to log in with Patreon and get access to all the tutorials. So I hope you enjoyed this one. This was a really simple one because now I'm dividing the tutorials. Instead of doing a really long one and a really complex one, I'm dividing into small tutorials and quick tutorials just to explain you how you can do cool stuff with just simple parameters. You can see that Houdini is not that really complex. Hope you enjoyed this one. Have a nice day and see you on the next one. Bye bye.